The Tears of God. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This book continues the story of the Arab sugar daddy and the beautiful Indian girl, and the story of the Indian child bride and the old Arab husband, and the story of the Indian Miss World and the rage of Muslims of the world, and also the story of Christina and the complete Jew. They have been written in English and translated into Arabic by the author Dr. Ahmed. This tale resonates with genuine love, strong resilience, and steadfast courage. I invite you to accompany me as I narrate the adventures of the extremely beautiful Indian girl, Aphrodite Khan, and her handsome American lover, Michael Lewinsky, in the Muslim world. Before we dive in the tapestry of the story, I would like to remind the reader this novel is narrated in 6 books. Book 1, The Arab Sugar Daddy and the Beautiful Indian Girl. Book 2, The Indian Child Bride and the Old Arab Husband. Book 3, The Indian Miss World and the Rage of Muslims of the World. Book 4, Christina and the Complete Jew. Book 5, The Tears of God, Jews, Blacks, and Muslim Women. And Book 6, The Hidden Life of the Prophet Muhammad. This is an intriguing epic story which exhibits resilience, love, and sacrifice. Book 5. Researching the social life of the Muslim woman in the Islamic world. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief passages from a review for printing in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. All characters in this novel are fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is merely coincidental. Chapter 60. The Escape from the Refugee Camp in Kenya. When they arrived at the refugee camp in Nairobi, the American couple, Michael and Christina, found themselves without the benefit of any sort of special treatment accorded to them in Juba by their Jewish Good Samaritan. Their new refugee camp is, in essence, a Somali colony. Everyone and everything is Somali. The refugees and all the UN employees and workers are Somalis. The entire camp is controlled and run by Muslim terrorists. Some of the refugees are undercover terrorists sent by the Al-Shabaab militant group to carry out undisclosed suicide missions in Kenya or elsewhere. There are marriage agencies, travel agencies, dead people burial undertaker agencies, hired killer agencies, male circumcision agencies, female genital mutilation agencies, local liquor makers and sellers women, drugs trafficking gangs, and human smuggling groups. There are hoax family physicians who are known as the Hakim doctors who have never been to medical colleges or nursing schools. Some of them have not been to schools and are completely illiterate and can't even print their names in any human language. There are also a few brothel tents owned and run by an undercover Somali pimp who has secret hookers and male prostitutes. His prostitutes mainly are widows, divorcees, and a few young Somali women. He gives his male client a condom because of the danger of making one of his prostitutes pregnant with an illegitimate baby, and consequently, all 3 get slain in honor killings. But his male prostitute is allowed to practice sodomy without the need for a condom. The human smuggling groups are subcontractors who deal with human smugglers in Egypt and Libya. Their job is to send their clients to those contractors whose duty is to smuggle them across the Mediterranean Sea into the European shores. Therefore, every sort of criminal activity and terrorist plot is planned in the Somali refugee camp in Kenya. By the way, every Somali in the world is a Muslim. His family members or other Somalis will kill any Somali Muslim who becomes an apostate Christian. Even if he goes to the West or travels to the moon, they will come after him and slaughter him. Only the grave can hide him from them. Somalia is like Saudi Arabia, a 100% Muslim land. Even their animals and demons are Muslims. From day one, the American couple knew that it would be better for them either to return to the camp they had come from or to make their way into a Kenyan prison or holding facility. As foreigners, they can be easy prey for the Somali terrorists. As soon as their American identities are known, they will either get murdered in their tent at night or kidnapped and detained for ransom to be paid by their foreign families. As a matter of custom, many kidnapped foreigners in the Third World were killed after their Western families paid the ransom. A very few lucky ones got released after the ransom was paid. For example, the kidnapped Canadian girl Amanda Lindhout was released after her family paid a huge ransom for her freedom. She was a Canadian journalist who was kidnapped in August 2008 by a group of Somali men in Mogadishu. Lindhout was held for 15 months and tortured, beaten and sexually brutalized in an ordeal she has since detailed in her book, A House in the Sky, quoting National Post, Ashley Sanity, June 14, 2015. The same Somali men who kidnapped, beaten, tortured, raped, and collected ransom from Amanda's family later claimed to be a persecuted Somali Muslim refugee, a victim of terrorism, obtained refugee status in Kenya, and got resettled in the same country of the Western girl he kidnapped in the past. After 7 years of worldwide investigations by the RCMP, on June 13, 2015, he was arrested in the capital city of Canada, Ottawa. The only difference, he changed his name from Adam to Ali Omar Ader. In the Third World, changing one's name is as easy as changing one's clothes. By paying a bribe of $2 or $3, the most dangerous murderer, or the deadliest terrorist can get his first name, father's name, mother's name, and last name changed to obtain another innocent person's identity. After her kidnapper got arrested, Amanda Lindhout said, "I find it difficult to describe what it felt like to see his face again. It brought up anger, fear, confusion, and knowing that he no longer poses a threat to me or anyone else, a sense of relief. He was erratic and bullying and fully complicit in my suffering," she said, adding he collected contact information for her family to negotiate a ransom. "He terrorized my mother, phoning her multiple times a day and at all hours. He also revealed things about himself, speaking to her about his desire to visit Canada." Citing National Post, Ashley Sanity, June 14, 2015. No wonder that the moment they arrived, Michael and Christina began to plan their escape. There are simply better survival odds in trying to get themselves out of camp than to live and die in a highly malicious prison. Instead of hoping to survive against all odds for a few years for their turn to be resettled as refugees in a Western country, the couple decided to take the risk and flee out of the refugee camp. When they safely reach outside, Christina can approach the Indian embassy and apply for new travel documents. With her Indian papers, she can have proof of her identity, which can then open the vaults of any foreign bank for her. The American couple had been given some cash by their Good Samaritan Ethiopian Jew in anticipation of their needs for the next few days. Escape from a Somali refugee camp is not a big issue. Even children can be good at it. It should not even be called a refugee camp. It is resembling a big village or small town. Some Somalis built their own houses to settle in as permanent homes. Others constructed their barbershops, business shacks, and madrasas, which are mainly religious schools and teach Islam and nothing else. There are a few mosques and religious corners for prayers and gatherings. There is no problem with going out and coming in. The main problem is how to survive outside without being caught by the Kenyan authorities, which generally entailed being abused, robbed, raped, jailed, and probably killed by them. Michael and Christina only spent a week in the Somali concentration camp. During that time, they saw things more common in horror movies. They saw fathers beating their children, husbands battering their wives, and some brothers hammering their sisters. No one was ever arrested or prevented from abusing his family members. They saw underage girls and children being married to male adults. Those marriages were conducted openly with celebrations. Little children were circumcised in public. Many Muslim men have 2 to 4 wives and openly boast about their polygamous marriages. None of the practices are considered abuse or evil. Muslim men abuse their female counterparts, believing these evil practices are their divinely given rights in the Quran. See Surah Al-Nisa 4, verse 3, Surah Al-Talaq 65, verse 4, and Surah Al-Nisa 4, verse 34. Many authentic hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad justify and encourage those misogynistic practices. Even the marriage of Muhammad with his child bride Aisha, who was a 6-year-old girl, is used as justification for pedophilia. Therefore, Muslim people perpetuating these practices simply never think of them as crimes. They just look at them as part of their religious obligations and hence practice them, as they had done back in Somalia. A Somali woman was genitally mutilated when she was a little girl and thought nothing wrong of it when she arranged the same for her small daughter. A boy saw his father beating his mother as a child, internalized the value, and proceeded to batter his wife as a divine right when he became a husband. Girls married as children did not see anything odd about giving their small children in marriage to adult men. Besides that, the couple saw many other illegal activities in plain view. The only law prevailing is Islamic Sharia law. The Kenyan secular laws are only applicable outside the boundaries of the refugee camp. No African police officer had ever stepped foot inside the Somali refugee camp. The Somalis fulfill the idiom, birds of a feather flock together. Wherever they go, they create a facsimile of the colony they left behind in their country. If you go to any Western or Arab country, you can find the Somalis renting apartments in the same building and the same area. And wherever they go, they carry with them their religious beliefs, customs, norms, practices, abuses, and violence. Before the American couple fled one evening, they obtained a map of the city and spent many hours planning their escape and movements in Nairobi. They are told by some of the refugee camp employees that Nairobi is known as the London of Africa. Every cafe, restaurant, lounge, nightclub, disco, bar, belly dance, cabaret, and cinema hall are all packed by Europeans. The Kenyans are only servants, waiters, and waitresses attending to the Western tourists, as if they are living out the olden days of European colonization of the Third World when the locals served the colonists in their lands. The American couple did not face any difficulty while they were leaving the Somali colony. As soon as they reached downtown Nairobi, they began to relax. They have found there are more white foreigners than black locals. They felt as if they were in a cosmopolitan European city. A free city where the person can do anything he wants. If he wants sex, he can easily buy it. If he wants drugs, he can find them. Alcohol is sold by moving vendors. Food is so cheap that a beggar can afford to buy it, and accommodation is cheap too. If the person has no money to rent a place, he can sleep anywhere in the street. There is no harsh winter weather that can kill homeless people as in Europe, America, and Canada. Nevertheless, such freedom is only available to Western foreigners. Most of the Africans are beggars, loafers, prostitutes, and crooks. Michael and Christina are shocked by the amount of immorality they saw on their first day in downtown Nairobi. White women and black girls are dressed immodestly. They can hardly be called or putting on their clothes. The white women are half naked. The Kenyan young women are having their big boobs half visible, and their large buttocks exposed to the thighs and hips. The American couple Michael and Christina have, by chance, entered a dance hall, and almost immediately, made their way out of it because of the scene that greeted them. All the ladies are drunk, and the gentlemen are drugged like stones. They are hugging and kissing each other and doing other things that no decent person may agree to do in public. Everywhere they went, drug dealers approached them and tried to push their wares on them. Hotels and motels are simply locations for drunkenness, drugs, prostitution, and orgies. The couple roamed for hours before they managed to find a place suitable for renting. It is an unpretentious home of an old Kenyan woman, where they are promised a bed and breakfast. At this point, it is more than they have dared to hope for. Morning greeted them with sufficient rest and a breakfast of eggs and bread. The foreign couple decided to put the next step of their plan into action. To save money, they have used local transportation. At the Indian embassy, Christina's looks spoke for her even before she opened her mouth. The Hindu receptionist girl simply knew she is an Indian girl by birth. She spoke to her in Hindi and requested to know the reason for her visit. Christina repeated word for word what her husband Michael had told her to say. Without any further query or cross-examination, she was given a form to fill. Then the form has been taken to the superior officer. Upon the form has been approved, signed, and returned, Christina has been asked to pay for the issuance of the necessary travel documents, which will enable her to return to her motherland, India. When that requirement was met, the girl went back to her boss and duly returned with the emergency travel documents. She told Christina that she must show those documents to the Indian authorities upon her arrival at the Mumbai International Airport. The girl never asked Christina who her white companion is, or what his relationship with her is. She just kept staring and smiling at the handsome American guy until his Indian wife felt that the pretty Indian girl had suddenly developed romantic feelings with her husband. To avoid any further love chemistry developments, the former Miss World took hold of her handsome American husband's hand and walked out of the Indian embassy. While the two American lovers are going out, Christina Lewinsky understood that she has once again become one of the richest women in the world with a bank balance of over $100 million waiting for them in her overseas account. Chapter 61. The African Safari Trips. The smart plan of the wise two American refugees, Michael and Christina, worked faster than they anticipated. On the very same day, they approached an international bank and were able to access their funds. They felt as if heaven's gates had suddenly reopened and rained silver, gold, milk, and honey. Just the day before, they were sleeping on the ground in a tent with wooden bedding, cowering below a filthy and torn blanket. At this point, they can buy an entire hotel in Nairobi. The first thing the couple has done is to go to a decent Indian restaurant to enjoy delicious Asian dishes. They had not tasted good meals for many months. After that, they went to a boutique of foreign clothes and replaced their rags. In the fitting rooms, they removed their filthy clothes and put on their new attires. The clothes they discarded did not fit them well because they belonged to their Jewish Good Samaritan and his wife. For many days, Michael wore pants that ended halfway between his knees, and his feet like a clown, and a gaudy shirt that made him look like a scarecrow. Those were second-hand clothes by Mr. Shlomo Mola. Christina was a little luckier. Mrs. Nina Mola's clothes fitted her lengthwise but were too tight because the Ethiopian wife has a skinny body. That created serious problems for her whenever she came under the surveillance of lustful men, especially the Somali males in the camp. Everywhere her feet took her, men assumed she had intentionally dressed that way to attract attention. Her tight dress made her breasts half exposed and her buttocks larger. She looked like those half-naked hookers in downtown Nairobi. It is no wonder then that those indecent clothes are the first thing she discarded. Michael is now dressed in a full suit, which makes him like a foreign diplomat or wealthy business tycoon on his overseas business trip, while Christina looks like an Indian air hostess from the waist up, but has the air of a queen from the waist down. Since the combination looked strange, she decided to model her look on one of the Disney princesses in fairy tales or a Barbie girl. She now looks like Cinderella or Snow White. They are now Mr. Handsome and Miss World. If they have returned to their Somali refugee camp, they may create a fundamental problem for the inmates. The refugees and workers will immediately assume that the highest commissioner and his pretty wife have descended directly from Geneva and arrived in Nairobi to investigate the illegal and terrorist activities going on in the Somali refugee camp. But instead, the couple decided to remain humble and continue to live in their simple lodging. When they arrived home, their African landlady could not recognize them until they talked to her. She has recognized the voices of her two visitors, but the two foreigners who are standing before her are like nothing of her two American tenants. She could not believe that they were the same wretched, foul-smelly, and the two poor foreign couple who came to her last night dressed in rags and reeking of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. The night before they were counting dimes, nickels, and pennies, and now they are throwing dollars around like counterfeit currency papers. The couple decided to make a new deal with their good landlady. They wanted to bless her with a special concession. Firstly, they told her that she did not need to make any breakfast for them. Secondly, they said they wanted to pay her double the rent they had agreed upon simply as a loving gesture to the old woman. The American couple developed a special admiration for the African woman because they saw her reading from her Holy Bible before her prayers the night before. The old woman thought that her new tenants were simply under the stupefying influence of some new drug or alcohol, and so told them that if they do not find her food agreeable, she could buy them outside food without any extra charge. The couple responded with another generous offer and told her that they had liked her food, and would like to have it again, but she must charge them for it. The old woman smiled and held her peace with the thought that she might be entertaining angels without knowing it. She read in her Bible that the angels of God sometimes come in human forms. Michael and Christina rose and shone on the following morning an hour and a half before the old woman. They have their morning prayer and read their Holy Bible. They even sang some of their favorite hymns. Their spirits have been uplifted. After spending time before the Lord, they went to a nearby grocery store and bought many items for their breakfast and bath. Then they came back and headed directly to the kitchen. When the good woman of the house woke up from her sleep, there was another surprise waiting for her. She went to her kitchen and found the breakfast had already been cooked and prepared by her two angels. Her little doubt has now vanished, and she began to treat the American couple as the true two angels of the good Lord. This time, she asked no questions. She just sat at the table, blessed her food, and enjoyed eating it. Meanwhile, the two lovely angels are taking a joint bath. They filled the tub with warm water and an assortment of bubble baths, and every bath condiment you could have thought of. They created long-lasting bath bubbles. They also bought many great-smelling shower gels, luxurious gel, Nivea gel, emulsified scrubs, and lavish body kinds of soaps. Then they began to bathe each other. They took a long time to carefully scrape the grime that their bodies had accumulated from the time they had left the care of the two kind late nuns, Sister Catherine and Sister Patricia. They spent so much time indulging and pampering each other until they reached their sexual climax. If the good old woman has walked in, she might think that her two holy angels have fallen and become humans because they have had sex inside the bathtub and have eaten the fruit from the forbidden tree of knowledge of good and evil. She might think the devil tricked her, and while she was asleep, he visited her holy abode, tempted the whore, and caused her to convince her crook to have sex with her inside the bathtub. At any rate, after the sexually pleasurable and extremely enjoyable bathtub lovemaking session, the wealthy American couple put on their new expensive garments. That done, they wished their room landlady good day and left. The old woman kept staring at them until they receded from her field of vision. She is still entertaining the belief that they are not human beings like her, but they are spiritual beings descended from heaven. She remembered that when they came to seek accommodation, they did not have any luggage or spare clothes except the filthy rags that were hanging on their dirty bodies like beggars' clothes. At that time, the two appeared to her like a crook and a hooker. She was not sure who picked up who, but she was sure that they came to have sex in her holy abode and get split forever. She did not know who had money to pay for sex. She thought it might be free sex because none of the two homeless Americans could afford to pay. But now, the two foreigners look like royals who were born with gold spoons in their hands. Last night the prostitute looked like a caterpillar that suddenly came out of her ugly cocoon and became a lovely colorful butterfly. Now and then she kept changing her color and becoming increasingly beautiful. What remained for her was just to grow wings and fly up to the sky. The miraculous change in the appearance of the previous night crook is like the successful conclusion of the fairy tale of Beauty and the Beast, equally beguiling and unexplained. The old African woman is not that religious fanatic and sometimes goes to see Hollywood movies on the silver screen at the nearby movie theater. So she had seen that movie and knew the crook was the ugly beast who became the handsome prince. When the fugitive American couple showed up at the American embassy in Juba City, they appeared to the ambassador exactly as the good old woman saw them when they appeared at first at her doorstep, like a jail escapee and a street prostitute. This time, however, when they entered the American embassy in Nairobi City, they were treated like royalty, and their garments spoke loudly and clearly for them. They said they are successful, confident, polished, regal, and the best testimonies to America and India. They might have been mistaken for the grandson of former American President John Kennedy and the granddaughter of former Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. But everyone was surprised to see them because such fine kids should have never been allowed by their royal families to step out of their protected boundaries and move freely in society. They could be kidnapped by the Kenyan local gangs or Somali terrorists, and heavy ransoms be demanded for their safety and release. Michael and Christina remained faithful to their first story, which they told to the American Muslim ambassador in Juba. The American Christian ambassador at Nairobi found it difficult to believe such European adventures in the scary and dangerous jungle of Africa, that one can read only in novels like King Solomon's Mines or Allan Quatermain, which both were written by Rider Haggard. Besides that, the marvelous appearances of Michael and Christina refuted their story before they finished narrating it to the ambassador. Nonetheless, their American ambassador gave them some ray of hope. He told them that it would be impossible for him to verify a single day's adventures of their tale, but he is going to send a fax message to America and verify their claims. Since he cannot accomplish this immediately, he asked them to return in a week. By that time, he assured them, all things would be in order. This time, the American couple haven't been kicked out of the embassy or threatened with the custodial of the Kenyan Police Authority. In Juba City, the fugitive and homeless two Americans were physically being ejected out of the building of the American embassy by the security guards. They were cast into the outer darkness until the Good Samaritan Ethiopian Jew came and rescued them and took them to the refugee camp. But this time, as they came in with honor, they went with their heads held high. Meanwhile, the lovers Michael and Christina discovered that they have a lot of things to do in Kenya. The good old Kenyan woman told them that Western tourists love African safaris. She gave them the addresses of companies that catered to these kinds of specialized African wildlife safaris. Immediately, the two lovers decided to indulge their landlady's recommendation. Their first trip to the Kenyan jungle exposed them to real-life wild beasts such as lions, lionesses, elephants, zebras, buffaloes, unicorns, leopards, gorillas, deer, wildebeests, antelopes, cheetahs, giraffes, monkeys, and much, much more. They are so taken aback by the wonderful experience that they went on the same safari trip thrice a week. The wonderful time on their safari trips in the jungle of Kenya somehow reminded them of the beautiful Blue Lake in America. It was in the Jewish home where Michael and Christina met for the first time and fell in love. Many times, they rode their horse together and went to that lake of love and enjoyed their time. The two American lovers had never expected to see a beauty of such magnitude in Kenya. Their first day's impression in downtown Nairobi was marred by Western tourists who thronged to Kenya for cheap sex, liquor, drugs, and orgies. In a week, as promised, the American ambassador had received official FBI verification of the couple's identity and status. He gave them two choices, either to return stateside immediately using emergency travel documents, or wait until their new passports are issued to them. The couple chose to wait until they obtained their passports, and then return to their great country with honor. Generally, only Americans who ran afoul of the law in other countries were sent back with emergency documents. Secondly, Americans who wasted their money on drugs, alcohol, and prostitutes, and then went broke would sell their passports and spin a sad tale to the American embassy. Thirdly, the Muslim refugees who were resettled in the USA via the UN had entered American soil with emergency documents issued by the Red Cross. The American ambassador understood the reasoning and their reluctance to use emergency documents. He felt compelled to warn them against making the second choice without weighing the pros and cons. The advantages are abundantly clear. Such a choice has serious drawbacks, taking into consideration the places that the American couple had visited and how they traveled through them. For the American authorities to reissue new passports, they must contact the law enforcement forces of all the countries the couple had visited and obtain police clearances from them, such as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Dubai, Lebanon, North Sudan, South Sudan, and Kenya. The question now will be whether the couple had involved themselves in any terrorist activities or criminal acts, and whether had been detained due to those illegal activities in any of the 5 countries. Such processes may take months or even years. And only God knows what some of those Muslim countries may write about them. Accordingly, after weighing all the pros and cons, the American couple found themselves being compelled by their circumstances to return to their own country in the same boat as freed American criminals and displaced Muslim refugees. Chapter 62. Home is Sweet Home. After the American couple went through the valley of the shadow of the death of South Sudan and fought with human beasts in the Muslim world, Michael and Christina reached their sweet home finally. As soon as they emerged from the arrival hall in front of the international airport, they prostrated on their knees and kissed the soil of their great country, the United States of America. The country started as a church by the European pilgrims and became a nation through the First World Revolution by the founding fathers who freed it from the exploitation of the British Crown and persecution of the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. The country was set free from the evil of slavery through the Civil War and the words of Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King. Its constitution and law were drawn from the 10 Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount, and its greatness and freedom came from the divine principles of Judaism and Christianity. Upon their arrival, the first task the American couple, Michael and Christina, set themselves to do is to draft 2 checks, drawn in favor of their Good Samaritan, Mr. Shlomo Mola, and his wife, Mrs. Nina Mola, and sent it through his address at the American Embassy in Juba City. The second check has been sent as a love offering to the Kenyan good old woman in Nairobi, who rented to them her small room. The next task the couple took on was to locate the 2 kind Catholic nuns Catherine and Patricia, who sheltered them and took care of them for 7 days in their Christian charity home. Michael and Christina had pledged that if the Lord took them safely back to their country, they were going to send $50,000 to the self-sacrificing 2 Christian sisters. No one responded to their phone calls. Each time they called, the phone on the other end sounded dead, as if the number did not exist. After failing to reach the loving 2 nuns, the couple decided to contact Dr. Kukutia and find out through him why no one responded to their phone calls at the Christian charity home. They called his private clinic at his house. Michael and Christina were completely devastated at hearing the horrifying news. While bitterly weeping and continuously sobbing, the Nubian doctor narrated what had happened after the American couple's safe escape. He said that he came to know through some local policemen who were eyewitnesses what that evil black Arab man called Khalid Mansour al-Had and his wicked men had done to those 2 good nuns who sheltered them. On the same day of their flight by bus, the black Arabs who came from Khartoum raided the Christian charity home, tortured the 2 kind sisters, and tried to extract from them some information about the hiding place of the 2 American spies Samir and Samira Ahmed. They said the real names of the jail escapees are Michael and Christina Lewinsky, who had been seen coming to their Catholic church and Christian charity home. They said further the wanted Indian woman was a former Miss World who said the Prophet Muhammad's face was dirtier than her shoe, and then she spat on the Holy Quran. She spoke of those blasphemies during her crowning Miss World in London City, therefore, the entire world watched her on TV. When Sister Catherine de Niro refused to disclose any information about the 2 wanted escaped foreigners, the black Arabs plucked her nails out of her fingers, pulled out her hair, and finally shot and killed her. Sister Patricia Akal also refused to speak out. 3 evil black Arab men brutally raped her, and finally, their wicked leader stabbed her to death. After that, they dragged their bodies, took them to the wilderness, and burned them into ashes. Then they set all the huts of the Christian charity home on fire and burned them down too. Dr. Kuku cried like a brother who lost his 2 dear sisters when he finished narrating the tragic murders of those loving 2 nuns who did many remarkable things for the town and him personally. He also told them about the brutal rape of the 12-year-old girl, Hafsa, the underage daughter of Uncle Rajab Adam. He is the old man and his little son who brought the fugitive American couple to the Christian charity home. After that, Dr. Kuku reported how the evil black Arab man, Khalid Mansour Satan al-Had, had come to know about him. How he got viciously beaten and abused in front of his children and wife by those black Arab demons. Then the Nubian doctor gave glory to the Lord who delivered his young daughter and pregnant teenage wife from those evil human beasts, without any one of them being raped. Michael and Christina felt so miserable when they came to know that their brief stay in that Christian charity home had led to such devastating evils being descended upon the kind 2 Catholic sisters. The 2 great Christian female saints had submitted their bodies to abuse and a cruel death, but refused to hand over their Christian brother and sister into the hands of the evil Muslim men. Therefore, the American couple decided to send the money instead to Dr. Kukutia, and encouraged him to find some reliable Christian sisters and convince them to continue the good work of those precious 2 souls who left their own countries to come to help the poor Sudanese in North Sudan. Dr. Kuku accepted their advice and promised to do exactly as they suggested. The couple also vowed to stand with him and provide whatever financial funds he needs to keep the Catholic Church, the Christian school, and the Sudanese clinic of the charity home going on. They suggested that the new charity home should be named after the late 2 nuns, Sister Catherine and Sister Patricia. The Nubian doctor agreed and made an oath to perpetuate the names of those 2 great female saints and martyrs by naming the new charity home after them. It is in this way that the new Christian charity home must be named, the Christian Charity Home of Catherine and Patricia, the School of St. Catherine, the Hospital of St. Patricia, and the Catholic Church of the 2 female martyrs. It took Christina and Michael a long time to escape out of the sorrow and sadness that followed the day they heard the devastating news. They blamed themselves for causing pain to their 2 female saviors. They wept bitterly for days, giving in to the loss of the 2 Christian sisters who took care of them, planned their escape, gave them food and water for their trip, paid for their tickets for the bus, and ensured their safe exit out of the hellish of the Muslim world. The new Christian charity home that was built is 5 times bigger than its predecessor. Dr. Kuku kept its financiers, the American couple, informed on the progress of the construction with pictures and videos along the way. The wealthy Indian wife Christina and her American husband Michael have spent generously on the new construction. The new School of St. Catherine registered 3 times more than the former number of students. The church of the 2 female Christian martyrs boasted of twice the seating capacity of the former church, and the Hospital of St. Patricia is built to receive 4 times the number of new patients from the original establishment. In the meantime, Dr. Kukutia was able to contact the Italian church which used to support the old Catholic charity home. Instead of one, the mother church sent 2 Italian sisters to run the new charity home. Moreover, the supporting church promised to continue sponsoring the new Sudanese Christian charity home in Mujlad City, and appreciated what the loving American Christian couple, Michael and Christina, have done. Dr. Kuku brought 2 new Sudanese Christian sisters to work in the new Christian charity home. One is from the south of Sudan, and the other one is from the Nuba Mountains. He also added 2 medical doctors and 6 nurses to his team. He returned to being a doctor on a full-time basis in his new hospital. He employed new teachers for the Christian school and some workers for other purposes. The Catholic Church of the 2 female martyrs has a new priest from the Nuba Mountains too. The new noble Christian charity home of the late 2 sisters St. Catherine and St. Patricia, the loving American couple, sponsored its re-establishment, and reconstruction revived their souls and brought new hope to many lives. The new Christian establishment revived the small town of Mujlad and caused it to flourish. In a fleeting time, its population doubled, and many people came to know the Lord Jesus Christ through the ministry of the new Christian charity home. After accomplishing that noble project, Christina decided to find a way to contact her best Sudanese girlfriend. She has never forgotten her loving Muslim sister, Sulwa, the widow of the so-called martyr Khalid. Samira also wants to know what happened to the good old woman, Sakina. She likewise wants to send money as a friendship and love offering to her best girlfriend Sulwa, and if possible, to the good old woman Sakina too. Accordingly, she phoned Dr. Kukutia and confided her heart's desire to him. The Nubian Christian man liked her plan and promised her to go personally along with his teenage wife to the Nahid town and find the address of her Muslim girlfriend Sulwa, and what had happened to the old woman Sakina Abdul Nabi. Christina appreciated his courage and promised to reimburse all the expenses involved in his trip and stay in that town. Dr. Kuku and his wife took over a couple of weeks to complete their travels up and down. On the very day of their return home, Dr. Kukutia phoned Christina and informed her about what had happened to her good female friends, Sulwa and Sakina. The old woman Sakina was tried and condemned by the Sharia court of Nahid town and found guilty of blasphemy and apostasy. She was then put to death through hanging. She was a 75-year-old woman when she was subjected to that violent death. The fate of Sulwa is even more heartbreaking than that of her former mother-in-law. Due to the torture and abuse that she went through under the hands of her polygamous husband, the dangerous butcher Haj Osman, and his other 3 rival wives, she was driven to take her own life. One night, while everyone was asleep, she poured kerosene on her clothes and then set herself alight. None of the 3 rival wives tried to help her or tried to put the flames out of her body. When her wicked husband woke up and arrived in the kitchen, she was completely burned. She got over 90% burned. Sulwa died before her evil polygamous husband took her to the hospital. Because she had died by her own hand, the imam of the biggest mosque in Nahid city issued a fatwa forbidding her corpse to be buried in the Muslim graveyards. Therefore, her remains were taken by the workers of the municipality and dumped in a garbage place in the wilderness where animals' carcasses were cast out in the open and left to be eaten by the vultures and wild beasts. Then her dead body had been burned into ashes. The Indian wife Christina had not expected to hear such sad news about her best Sudanese girlfriend, and consequently, she mourned for many days. It took her American husband Michael a long time to lift her soul again and make her accept the bitter reality of the evils of Islam. When ultimately the American couple came to terms with the dire realities of Islam, they decided not to write and publish their findings in the Muslim world. They do not want to publish work that has cost the lives of such precious souls. Besides that, they do not want to expose the identities of those who are still alive, vulnerable to the threats and dangers they have left behind. Additionally, all their accumulated fieldwork data which they stored in their laptop had been confiscated by the evil police officer, Babakar Hussein Osama. Deep down inside, they also concluded that no one in America, or in any other Western country, is going to believe them. Therefore, the American couple Michael and Christina found themselves back to square one. Overall, they regretted their hasty decision to fake their Muslim conversion and to travel to the Muslim world and secretly investigate the abuse and oppression of Muslim women. This story is to be continued in Book 6, under the title, The Hidden Life of the Prophet Muhammad. About the author of this novel. Dr. A. Ahmed is an author and scholar. He has 5 university certificates, BA, MA, and Ph.D. in Philosophy and Comparative Studies of Religions from India, and a Bachelor and Master of Religious Studies and Philosophy from Canada. He was born and brought up as a Muslim, but through his study of philosophy and comparative studies of religions, he converted to Christianity. He has a unique writing style that can break through any religious, social, and cultural barriers and reveal the truth as it is. Moreover, his books are based on first-hand eyewitnesses, because he witnessed those dire conditions of Muslim women with his own eyes. He has written 25 books, but has so far published 10 of them. His books have been written in English and translated by him into Arabic. All of his books are on the issues of women in Muslim societies and terrorism in Islam. Some of his novels are available on his YouTube pages, as he reads them in English and Arabic.